So now we're going to talk about weightlifting technique and your opinions on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there any aspect of weightlifting technique that you think is under prepared or not thought of enough?
When I teach a beginner, I teach them textbook technique, but I accept what I can get. And so I always try to stay with what's considered the perfect technique, but everyone's body is a little different. It works a little different, so you have to go with what you can get. And I always try to stay real close to the classic technical biomechanical technique that everybody knows about.
Yeah.
But we can't always achieve it. So I don't. So then I go and I take the athlete and I say, how do they do something, and can they do it that way every single time? For example, Mario Martinez, he bent his arms a lot. Everybody says, oh, if he straightens out his arms, he'd lift so much more. Well, we tried straightening out his arms and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So you always had to make sure you had bent him at that 5-degree angle, not 4, not 6.
Yeah.
It had to be
Oh, so you achieve consistency.
Yeah, you have to achieve consistency, because when you're consistent, then you can become efficient. So I look for how a person's body works, and then we try to work with that as best as we can. Because I've seen, when I do these coaching courses, I tell people there's textbook technique, and then there's what you can get. And I'm going to go over all the textbook technique, but then I know you're going to raise your hand because you've seen somebody do it wrong. And there's a couple of Olympic champions out there that have the worst technique in the world, but they're Olympic champions.
Example being?
Piros Dimas.
And Sajir, the 77. Suleimanoglu. Yeah.
And those guys got 6 gold medals between them.
Yeah. And what do you think is the most important technical consideration just for the beginning of, let's say focus on the snatch, because that's my favorite lift?
Well, yeah, for snatching is to teach the person to be comfortable in the bottom position.
Okay.
So therefore, if you do something wrong, but you got a good bottom position, you can recover and save the lift. And also with beginners, teach them to be comfortable in the bottom position, because sometimes they're afraid. Mm-hmm. And so overhead squats or drop snatches or snatch balance, or lots of things like that. And one of the things I do is I have them sit on the bottom for a few seconds when they're training on their last rep, so that they get real comfortable.
They're comfortable when tired as well. Hmm? Comfortable when tired as well.
Yes. And I have another thing where I have them sit in the bottom of the snatch position and look around, look up, down, right, all around, and in the snatch I like them to have really confident in their receiving and catching position. And the next thing I always stress with people is they've got to keep the bar close to them. Yeah. And this is another one. There's a TV commercial for insurance. Aflac. Are you familiar with Aflac? It's a duck that goes around going Aflac, and that's the name of this insurance company. Well, I tell people he's not saying Aflac, he's saying back flat. And so, because I say back flat, 100 times a day, because even when people get tired, the back will round.
Okay.
Or maybe they're just not concentrating. So one of the things I'm always telling people is back flat, keep it close. Back flat, keep it close.
And on that note, if you have a lifter that struggles to maintain a back arch, or struggles to even achieve a back arch, never mind maintain it, how would you train them to do so?
We do the clean deadlift and shrug, and that's an exercise I've come up with, which I think is really, I don't know why everybody in America is not doing it, because it's so good. You do it slow-mo, and it's really, you can really accentuate the back flat, because whenever a person is going to lift a heavy weight, they just think I just got to lift this weight, just lift this weight. But when you can do the clean deadlift and shrug, you can really concentrate on maintaining the back flat. If you can't maintain the back flat, then it's too heavy.
Okay.
So you work with, and that's one of the great things about the clean deadlift and shrug. It's done slow-mo, and if the back starts to round, then you have to know they're tired or the weight's too heavy. So it's just, and you can really drill on it, and it teaches people how to pull the bar off the floor slowly, not rip it off, and keep the back flat. Also, it stresses keeping the arms straight, because the 3 most common flaws of a beginner are they rounded back, bent arms, and yanked the bar off the floor.
Okay.
And so the clean deadlift and shrug will fix that.
And would there be a transition between the clean deadlift and shrug, or would it be you deadlift the weight up and then shrug at the top, or is there a pause?
Slow-mo all the way. You just start back flat, keep it close, and as you get to the top of your thighs, you shrug and extend your ankles, your knees, and your hips, and you shrug your shoulders, and you go up on your toes, and you try to even maintain that for half a second. And then come back. It also teaches balance.
Yeah. And now, when we're dealing with the second half of the pull in the snatch, what do you think would be important considerations in that?
Okay, then I tell people to explode. I mean, I say, I like to use Spiros Demas as an example here because sometimes when he hit that second pull, that acceleration, that explosion, it looks like if it wasn't for his skin, his muscles would have been all over the gym because it looked like his body literally exploded.
Yeah.
And so I say when you hit that, top of the thighs, that second pull, you have to explode with every muscle, every inch, every ounce of might you have.
Yeah.
And that's why another one of my sayings is pull hard, move fast. And that's what you got to do there. You got to pull it hard and you got to move fast.
Okay.
And then the explosion will happen.
Okay. So we've dealt with the snatch there, and we obviously dealt with the first position in the clean. For the jerk, what do you think are important considerations for the jerk technique?
The bar must. This is the most common mistake I see in the jerk is people not maintaining the bar tight on their shoulders when they dip to drive the jerk. They do a little bit of this as they're dipping and driving.
Yeah.
And the bar's got to stay totally in contact with your deltoids and clavicles until you've got all your power going from your hips and legs up. Then the bar leaves.
Okay.
But other people are doing lots of things. Sometimes the bar slides down.
Yeah.
And so it's maintaining that bar tight on the shoulders as long as possible.
And is there anything you do as a coach to try and improve that?
The front squat and jerk is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Front squats, and then you can really concentrate on it. And
Okay.
jerks off the rack.
Yeah. And in the jerk receiving position, is there any way you solidify how lifter gets under the bar?
Well, no, just throw the head back and then bring it back forward. But I don't really stress throwing the head back. Most people do that, but everybody will hit themselves in the chin or the nose once or twice in their career.
They'll learn from it.
But the thing is, they do have to bring the head back through, and Haile Mutlu was the best at that. He brought his head through so fantastically. And I think we saw Rolf Milzer didn't do it. If you saw a picture of Rolf Milzer, he didn't do that. That was his problem because he was a good presser. He came from the press days, so I guess he was tight in the shoulders. He couldn't do that, but he still made some big jerks. But I tell people to put it back over the ears, and I have a lot of fun with people because when they miss a weight out front, I say, that's your nose. These are your ears. This is where you want to put the bar, back over your ears.
And do you think they should guide the bar back, or do you think when they dip and explode up, it should be there naturally?
Just be driven back as fast and as forcibly as they can.
Okay.
And regardless, keep pushing.
Just in case you might be able to save it.
Just in case your mother's refereeing.
Okay. And another technical aspect, squatting. How do you get your lifters to squat?
Well, we put the bar on the back of the shoulders and they go up and down. The squat is the best exercise for body strength. And there's, like all these, the snatch, clean and jerk, pulls, all that stuff, great for power, which is absolutely necessary. But, it's always good to be strong.
Well, the question I meant was...
I'm getting to it.
Sorry.
So I stressed the importance of squats because that's the exercise that will make you really strong. And so we do back squats and front squats and overhead squats, all of them. So we do a lot of squatting, and we do it at the end of the workout, unless a person's, there's special leg requirements. I might have to put it at the front because they need extra work on it.
Okay. There's a coach I met who advocated when squatting that you should control the weight down quite slowly and then not try and go for a bounce at the bottom, because he said that improved your elastic speed, and for him to improve speed strength he'd have let's say a second pause at the bottom. Which type of squatting would you advocate?
No, I don't do that. I use the squatting as a strength exercise. And so we go rock bottom or as far as the person feels comfortable going, but it's got to go below the knees.
Yep.
And then we just down and up, and I tell everybody when it's hips. The hips are the most important thing because that's where you get stuck. You got to use those hips. And it's hips and elbows. You got to push up with your arms as well.
Okay.
And sometimes when the person's really going for it, it's hips, elbows, and asshole. Flex them all.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks.